Okay, the next thing we're going to do is set up Premiere Pro in order for it to be optimized for your system. Let's go up to Premiere Pro CC, Preferences, and General. So let's go to the General tab. Inside the General tab, we have several different options that we can change. I've already optimized my setup, so I will show you which ones I've changed. I've changed timeline mouse scrolling from vertical to horizontal. That means when you're working in your timeline or sequence, you can use the mouse scroll wheel to move from left to right throughout your timeline, instead of it's set up to vertical, where if you use the mouse scroll wheel, it'll go up and down through the layers. I find it to be a little more efficient to use a horizontal, so let's keep it at that. The next thing is, if you have any of these checked, you can remove them. I believe this is normally checked, this is normally checked, and I believe default scale to frame size is also normally checked. The reason why I do not like to have these selected is because it can get annoying when you're rendering previews and it immediately jumps your cursor to the beginning of your timeline, and most of the time you do not want to do that. Or once you've finished playing the end of a timeline, it jumps to the start as well. Default scale to frame size you can leave on if you'd like. This basically means that any footage that you bring down into the timeline will default to the size of your frame, meaning the resolution will auto scale to fill up your frame. Okay, so the next thing I believe I changed is the still image default duration. I like to set mine to like 5 or 10. So we'll change it to 10 seconds. That is the length of a photo or still image that is imported into your sequence. It'll appear as 10 seconds long. Now you can stretch it to whatever size you want, but this will save a little bit of time down the road, as it'll always default to 10 seconds. Okay, let's go to appearance. Now I like to edit on the far left side where the layout is the darkest. I find this easiest on the eyes once you're editing for several hours. So we'll leave it at that. Let's go to audio. Now I set all my default audio tracks to mono. The reason being, sometimes you import audio from a camera into your timeline. Sometimes it's frustrating having to figure out how to separate the audio from the stereo track in order to get two separate channels. So this way, everything you bring in, even music, it'll show up as two different channels. Okay, and if you have any audio plugins that you prefer to work with from, let's say, Pro Tools or another audio program, you can find them in here, and then they will show up inside Premiere Pro to use. Okay, let's go to audio hardware. I don't think I change anything in this. I leave it as is. If your audio isn't working, then you can troubleshoot by going to the device class and changing the setting here if you have others. You can also go to default input or default output and change those. Okay, let's go to autosave. I highly recommend that you keep this checked and you increase the versions to 40 and reduce the automatically save every certain amount of minutes to 5. This means it saves more often and backs up more files. In an editing project, in a 5-minute period, you could probably do a few hundred clicks, and that is a lot of changes you've made to your project. So if more than 5 minutes goes by, you could be losing a lot of time if something were to, like your system crashes or the power goes out. So save more often, make more backups, and this is great. Okay, the next thing is our capture window. This is if you're capturing any footage from a tape. This will probably be removed at some point in the future as tapes aren't really used anymore, such as like mini DV tapes or HD tapes. Okay, control surface. Again, you don't need to worry about this. This is similar to this. Device control, same idea. Label colors. We can get into this a little later, but basically you can rename all of these and create custom, very vibrant colors to help you edit. Go to label defaults. I would keep this the same. When you change the names here, those will auto update. Okay, let's go to media. In here, we have a thing called media cache files. Those are temporary files that Premiere automatically creates and stores in this location. You can change it if you'd like. And what they do is they help Premiere Pro play back more efficiently by saving temporary files called cache files. If you'd like to save your temporary files beside the originals, check this box. However, I don't think that makes much sense, so I keep it unchecked. Media cache database. So this is where it is saved. From time to time, I would highly recommend cleaning this up, as they are temporary files, and the next time you open your project, if you did clean it, it'll just create them again. So if you know you've finished a project or several projects and you won't be opening them anytime soon, then I would highly suggest cleaning them, because it will free up space on your hard drive, and these files do get pretty large. So let's clean now. Everything else I would keep the same. Memory. Now this is your RAM, your random access memory, installed on your computer. So on my Mac Pro, I have 26 gigabytes installed. I have it set up right now to 5 gigabytes reserved for other applications. That means that 21 gigabytes are free for all of the other Premiere Pro programs. Right now my system is optimized for performance instead of memory. I would recommend keeping at least 2 to 3 gigabytes free for other applications. This is when you're changing to a different program or you're browsing the internet while editing. It leaves a little bit of memory so that you can use the other programs and they won't be sluggish. Okay, let's go to playback. In here, if you have external monitors set up, you can set it to automatically default the playback to that monitor, and it'll be full screen. A lot of professional editing places set it up like that to their color correcting monitor. Okay, we don't need to worry about sync settings or the titler or trim. Okay, so that is all of the options we have in our preferences window inside Premiere Pro. Let's go to OK.